This is the Central Animal Liberation League, based in the Midlands and practising surveillance techniques in the Warwickshire countryside. They've got an efficient video unit to monitor their target and £2,500 worth of walkie-talkie equipment.
C4, you came over C5 then. Can you repeat your message, please? Over.
Sorry, C1. Yes, I've got a vehicle just come through. It must be heading... Oh, you must be inside of it now. A Bedford panel type van.
If it all looks rather cranky, the intentions are entirely serious. In everyday life, these are conventional people with ordinary jobs. An accountant, an electrician, and their full-time frontman, Tim Phillips, is a former bank clerk.
What we take on is very major targets. We intend to take on targets, say vivisection laboratories, which will get a lot of publicity, that are very significant. And as a result, they're often much more complex targets. There's complicated alarm systems and so on.
But what gives you the right to break the law?
Well, there's a law, and there's also a higher moral law. Within these laboratories, animals are being tortured and dying. They have absolutely no say. Their only hope is organisations such as ourselves. And we consider it completely morally wrong to torture these animals. Arrogant or not, it's a fact.
As the committed activists get more sophisticated, the wilder elements in the movement increasingly choose public confrontation. Those black flags are the flags of anarchist groups, the foot soldiers of the movement. Their language and their tactics are not always understood by animal lovers of a different generation.
Give us a rally, let's support them!
Peaceful demonstration!
You won't be helping the animals!
You're not helping yourselves! Come on! And kill the bill and the pigs.
Wait, I'm not here.
That's not what we're here for. This is an animal liberation march. Got nothing to do with what they started doing.
We don't achieve anything by bad language and upsetting the public.
This is anti-vivisection, not anti-police.
Have you had your house voted at 7 o'clock in the morning yet?
Anti-vivisection.
Done by the Hunt followers.
Anti-vivisection.
And they're patrolling my house.
You're carrying the banner under false pretences. You shouldn't be carrying it.
But how is it that anarchists rub shoulders in a movement with both moderates and extreme right-wingers?
Change your bloody banner! Change your banner to anti-police, not anti-vivisection! Not police, not anti-vivisection!
Back in Brighton, we paid a visit to a large, rambling anarchist squat and talked to a group who are active for animal rights. What a lot of people say about people like you when you go on demos is that it's very odd seeing anarchists who shout very loud and sound very aggressive.
Calling us anarchists, I mean, that's just like another stereotype, isn't it? Another label, another sort of like...
There's a big anarchist flag behind you on the wall.
Animal Liberation Front.
Yes, but the A is inside an anarchist circle.
That one is Animal Liberation Front, the one in the bottom is anarchist sign.
Right. I mean, the traditional English view of the animal lover, someone who's concerned about animals.
Well, I'm not an animal lover, put it that way. I bear respect for sort of like living creatures and stuff like that, like humans, animals alike. But I don't love animals. In fact, I get very pissed off with them and they wake me up early in the morning and stuff like that. But like...
You're not an animal lover?
No, not at all.
But you believe in animal rights?
Yeah, I respect animals as a separate species to humans, yeah. But also that they have an equal right as humans, not in the same way, in a different way, but they should be able to have a good life for themselves as much as humans do, sort of thing.
Well, everything's got its place and its space in nature, and we're the only one out of all the animals which is really totally turning that upside down and taking what we can out of it, the most of what we can out of it, and not giving a toss about how we achieve it, what the effects of it are.
I mean, you've got a poster over there and it says, bash the rich with an anarchist sign. Isn't there a contradiction between that kind of violent language, whether or not violent acts happen, that violent language, bash the rich, class war, let the blood run blue, and concern for animals?
Not really, because it's not animals that are causing all the misery on the earth. They're the ones who are getting all the trouble from humans. And I haven't got much respect for many humans anymore through what's happening to the world. I've got respect for animals though.
It's ironic that humankind often behaves worse than animals, doubly ironic when it's in the name of animals. And violence, once adopted, has its own momentum. What seemed fairly shocking just a few short years ago nowadays seems really quite moderate. Violence against property, that's to say violence against places like farms and laboratories, is these days taken very much for granted. The cutting edge of the movement is now violence against human beings. In effect, the activists have turned against their own species, and no human taboo is now considered sacred. That was shown first and most brutally in this remote Lakeland graveyard. This is the grave of John Peel, the legendary huntsman. 100 years after John Peel's death, the liberationists condemned him. They found him guilty of cruelty to animals. His punishment? Well, ghoulish and bizarre it may seem, but what they did in this graveyard in the dead of night was dig him up. This bunch of hooded activists call themselves the Hunt Retribution Squad. 18 months ago, under that name, a second grave was dug up, that of the Duke of Beaufort, dead just 10 months. His crime? He too was a huntsman. They said they were going to send his head to Princess Anne. But it's the living who are the prime targets. For 2 years now, the man who lives in this South London house has been the object of sustained intimidation, paint attacks, graffiti and demonstrations. 5 months ago, he woke up to find a bomb had been planted under his car. Dr. Brian Meldrum has been marked out as a torturer and a murderer because in his research he induces fits in animals naturally prone to epilepsy. His work, if successful, would give human epileptics, possibly hundreds of thousands of them, a life free from the painful side effects of the drugs they have to take.
The presently available drugs, they treat about 2/3 of patients adequately, but 1/3 of the patients carry on having seizures or they're incapacitated by the side effects of the drugs.
Now, the animal liberationists say that you've got no moral right to use animals